Gotta be pretty. There we go. Hello, everybody, once again. Thank you for joining us as we live stream talking about building with no code. I kind of think that might be the name of this thing you and I do. We've never actually discussed this, but it feels like we're always talking about building, whether it's a business or just a no code flow. And like, that seems relevant to how we keep talking about these things. I don't know. We should workshop it around. But we're here once again talking about building, talking about no code, and of course, Xray.tech and CrowdTamers. And uh, I've got with me, I have, as always, the inestimable Tom Nasser. Tom,
Hey, everybody. Nice to see you again.
good seeing you again, too. We missed our usual call on Mondays we have because there was a holiday in the United States.
And in Canada.
True. That's right. Monday was the Canadian holiday. Tuesday was the U.S. one. Whole world shut down. All right, so we got a couple of things to talk about here today. First up, talking more about the building and less about the no code, because Tom's the smart one. I just run an agency of people who do marketing, and we're pretty and sparkly. One thing to mention about that is I have recently launched, and if you are following me on LinkedIn or Twitter or YouTube, you have probably seen I have a course that is live right now. It is the GTM GTM Mentorship Mastery Program. I should know the name of my own course. It'll be launched officially live on July 10th. That's a Monday. I'm doing pre-sales right now for like 80% off of what the price will eventually end up being. Anybody who wants to learn how to launch a program, for whether it's a feature, whether it's a product, whether it's a whole freaking company, I tell you how to de-risk it, how to make it grow and scale. And I'm giving you basically all of the internal docs that I've used to take my agency and launch 15 companies to more than $1 million a year, and putting some training around them and giving them to you.
In GTM, for those of you who didn't know or don't know, I didn't know when I first met Trevor, it's go to market. That is a technical marketing term, if you can believe that there are some.
There are a dizzying array, but GTM is definitely one that needs definition. It doesn't mean like good to monkey. No. Go to market if you need to figure out how to take something new and make it make money. That's what my agency
Bring it to the market. Yeah.
Bring it to the market. And let the market tell you, don't bring it here, take it somewhere else, and there's more money over there. That's important too. So that's one thing. I've been plugging this pretty consistently all around the internet for the last week. I've got about 8 total slots available in this course. I've already sold 4. I will probably sell the next 4 over the next couple of days. But if you're interested, hop on now and you might get a chance to be one of those lucky few. Anyway, that's one on the building side. Another thing, something I wanted to bring up, when you talk about both of us have agencies, we run agencies, and I did see in something you were sharing with me that is secret we can't talk about yet, you were going to be offering a guarantee.
Guarantees are important.
Guarantees are important. The guarantee I've been offering for my agency has completely transformed. When I tell people up front there's a guarantee now, I used to just always be quietly like, oh, whatever, I'll give you back your money if you're mad. Now I lead with that. Well, not lead with it, but it's part of the kind of intro discussion. Folks go, oh, most agencies don't do that because most agencies can't guarantee results. I was able to look at all of my performance over the last 2.5 years, and I saw, well, look, there's 3 core metrics every client of mine has hit. So why don't I just guarantee those numbers up front? And then people feel like they're de-risking that decision. The less risk involved in a purchase, the happier people are. This is true for GTM. It's also true for GTFO.
Well, so, it's just hard to do guarantee stuff in an agency context, right? And I'm sure a lot of people watching this have agencies or have been at an agency before, and you know that you're guaranteeing that half of you will do everything that you need, right? The other half, your client, still needs to participate and give you enough to do things. So guarantees are a slippery slope, but when you're someone like Trevor who's hit a certain echelon in your career, I think you're safe to say,
sure thing.
Right.
It is. So anyway, if you're able to de-risk a sale, whether with a guarantee or not, I recommend it to you. I feel like an idiot saying that because that's like elementary sales stuff, but I'm also super good at marketing and kind of crap at sales. So it's been interesting for me.
So, Trevor, we had an interesting conversation a couple times over the last couple of weeks about this thing called Programmatic SEO.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Programmatic SEO is something that I wasn't really familiar with the programmatic part. The SEO is, I produce content every now and again and hope that people see it, right? Like that's sort of as deep as my SEO understanding really goes. Can you just expand on programmatic SEO a little bit? Talk about what it is, how it works, and like why it's even like relevant today, especially with all the, cool tech coming out. Lay it on us. What is it?
So I've actually been aware of programmatic SEO since before you could reliably use AI LLMs to produce passable content. It used to be programmatic SEO involved hiring uh, somebody who could use what's called spin tax, that's old school SEO, where you rewrite articles by basically plugging in every synonym you can for an existing article and then coming up with something that, if you've ever read an article on some big directory site that you're like, it was written by an alien and not by a human, because every word is just a bit clockwise of the word that should be there, someone spin taxed it. But what you do is you're generating a lot of content on long tail keywords. Then you direct them to certain centralized pages. So you have kind of a series of spokes, and then you've got the hub. And that centralized page, because they're all pointing to it and it's pointing to all of them, ends up ranking fairly well. So, an example, pretty commonly you will see people do roundups, right? The 50 best tools for budgeting your app, whatever, right? Okay. If I've got a link out to 50 and half of them link back to me, I've got, this is now a hub and spoke external, and I've gotten some SEO value out of it. You can also do internal just on your own domain. You can say, hey, here are my 40 best knowledge base articles. Link to them, link back. And the article that all 40 of them points to will rank higher for many of those long tail search terms now. So if you were able to say, I know here's 1,000 keywords I wish I had visibility on, they are all easy to rank for. I'm using a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs, and I can see these are easy to rank for, but I don't want to write a blog post for every single one of them. And even if I do, blog posts aren't necessarily super well SEO'd. You build this hub and this spoke system. You write all this content, and then you point to this main page, and you'll start to get, for each keyword, maybe it's dozens of visits a month. But if you write 1,000 of them, there's dozens of thousands of visits a month.
It's a lot.
Now, scale has tended to be a problem, but AI has taken away some of that problem. One thing I'm doing right now for 2 clients, and I'm also doing for me, is saying if I were to take ChatGPT and combine it with some other tools, Hemingway's a good one, because ChatGPT tends to write extremely long, and Hemingway tends to come in and say, chop all of this crap in half. You combine the two, you get much better writing out of it, and you will get from there, you can generate, go to, again, SEMrush or Ahrefs, look at all the long tail keywords in your industry and just generate for, what are you going to spend? $20 in AI credits, maybe, right? To get all this stuff written. Now, if you publish it all on your site in one day, the benefit to you is not going to pop immediately. Google will only really index maybe 60, 80 pages a week for most websites, unless you are a high volume content website. They'll be able to come back more and more often. If you haven't tended to post 100 articles a day, then if you do so now, Google will just go, that's nice, I'm still only going to find 60. So you need to pick a single hub and spoke content piece, publish the hub, publish the spoke, and then link to the hub from your main page so Google can find it. Mm-hmm. And do one of those a week, right? Chip your way through 50 keyword clusters, and you'll have all this content, which is all directing into some key pillar pages, which will also overall help your SEO value increase. So that is much more available in ways than it used to be. I don't yet have training for this. This is, by the way, going to be discussed in the course I'm putting together. But it is also something I will live stream a demo of at a kind of baby version to help people understand how they can do this. I do think if you've been told SEO is hard, which it has tended to be, link building is still hard, but on-site SEO is increasingly just a mechanical function. This is a way you can really optimize that and make a lot more of your website with a surprisingly small amount of work.
Well, I think, it's kind of the perfect storm here with LLMs being usable and no code being usable to the point of being able to generate 1,000 pages that talk about, a handful of topics in a variety of ways. The the existing examples that we have of this are on Zapier's blog or on Make.com's blog, are like permutations of connecting these tools in all the various ways. And that, I think, is a really clear existing example of what you're talking about, right? Like the 5,000 tools that are indexed on Zapier, there's blog posts on, or at least pages rendered.
On every
Yeah,
single
right.
one.
Of all of those permutations of the tools, like connect this to this. And it's really astounding. One of the reasons why when you search two tools, in Google, like Zapier comes up towards the top, right? And like that was done very intentionally. But that is achievable by all of us on the call watching like through the term programmatic SEO. Like you're actually building the permutations of a variety of pages that are going to link to each other and can help you rank higher. It's not something that I was very well versed in. I'm excited for that little demo too, to actually dig in a little bit more on it, because I think there's a huge opportunity there.
You can honestly do it. I mean, I've got the demos I'm currently doing in my team, and we're starting to sell to clients. It's just Google Sheets with the OpenAI API, you call it, plugin hooked in.
Yeah.
And then you basically use concatenate strings to build some very simple prompts. And then you use, what we discussed last time on our stream, how you build a simple prompt into a better prompt with the prompt builder prompt. And then you take the better prompt and use that to make your article. And so you daisy chain these through, and you get actually really good quality articles. And just drag in Google, expand the cells, and then you can kind of hear the internet creak as OpenAI's API starts to labor on this for you. But I mean, you literally cannot do this any cheaper way. And with a tiny bit of cleanup from there, and I have some team members I'm working with at CrowdTamers who are doing the rote work and cleaning these things up, it becomes super accessible. Anybody can do this. I think it is, for a while, it'll be a real game changer, and then eventually Google will just stop sending us any clicks at all, so it will matter less.
The dystopian world of no Google search anymore.
Exactly. Google will search, but just they will answer you in browser.
In browser.
They'll be like, hey, what's the best recipe for tagliatelle? And Google will say, here it is, and the video's here, and we send no traffic anywhere.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But I think that also brings up, you were discussing, right? This is AI is democratizing some of this no-code building into something like programmatic SEO.
Yeah.
I think it's democratizing into a whole lot of things. And you and I were talking earlier about how you are seeing some really interesting opportunities if you are a no-code builder in a way that even like 6 months ago, the market's evolved. And I think I'm going to ask you, right? Tell me a bit about what you're seeing there.
So we released 3 or so beginner's guide videos this year: Notion, Airtable, and Zapier. The Zapier one in particular has gotten a lot of traffic for people learning to become, a no-code builder, a low-coder, and just interested in, the space. And so as we've been coming out with this content around low and no-code building, we've been getting inquiries from builders that are trying to set up their freelancing organization, or set up their own agency, or set up some way for them to monetize their new and existing skills that are, hey, you happen to be a Notion expert, or you happen to be an Airtable expert, or you happen to, spend your 80,000 hours on Zapier, or whatever it is, right? Like, there's a lot of these like tool specific opportunities that companies, a lot of times when you adopt a new piece of tech, and I think Notion is at like a really interesting point in this curve, when you have the head of content creation or the head of marketing onboard Notion into their team, and they set it up so it works for them. They're not really a Notion expert, right? They're not really a Zapier expert or whatever. And they do the bare minimum to be able to use the tool for them and their team, even though there's a lot of bells and whistles or functionality that they're not using that would be nice for them to use. So on one side, we're getting, inquiries from really builders, people that are trying to use their skills in Notion understanding or Zapier or whatever to, do work for other people. And that's been really interesting to see evolve, because it went from, just a handful of people every few months to, a handful of people every couple of weeks. So if you're a builder, seeing this video, I want to talk to you. I'm trying to learn a little bit more about what that journey is like, going from, really not monetizing your no code and low code skill to becoming a freelancer or running your own agency. Like, I'd love to talk to you about like your experience in that. The other side is the customers, the people actually hiring other people to do work at their company. And in so many ways, you see this barbell effect. There's interest to spend 1 hour or 4 hours, with somebody at Xray to actually like build or unstick them from a problem, right? Oh, if I could only connect my Notion to Airtable and everything would work all magical, right? Or if I could only do this one thing, right? This hourly type engagement. That's one side, and then the other side is our Xray's primary engagement, which is a long-term chief workflow officer, very in the trenches type engagement, where we're designing and building workflows that last the duration of the job role, or last years at a time. We have members that have been with us for 12 months or more, and they're very happy to do so, right? Because we've been able to provide that value and just automate thousands of hours away from their life. So also, all that to also say, if you are also looking for either an hourly person to support you or a longer term engagement, I am more interested in understanding your thought process than I am in adding another sort of customer to our roster. We candidly don't have very much capacity at the moment. I'm really trying to understand more about the buying process and the buyer journey than I am to add another member to our roster. Be very curious to hear just your experience in like how you navigate the space, evaluate freelancers versus other agencies. That would be very, very interesting to me. And I think like it opens up some really interesting philosophical questions about like, what is a builder and what can they build? Like what is a no coder? What is a low coder? And like, how do those people, how are they perceived by businesses looking to get some of this work done? Like, it's just a very interesting sort of new area that's emerging in the no code and low code space.
Yeah, I do think also it's worth, as you're saying, I want to hear from builders. I think imposter syndrome might encourage folks to say, "Oh, I'm not a full-time builder.
Right.
I'm not the one to talk to Tom." I think part of what let's define, right? What are we considering a builder for this exercise of like, if I build, I should give Tom some of my time to answer some questions around how I might want to grow as a builder.
Well, if someone contacts you and says, "Hey, can you help me with this software?" Right? If you're the go-to person for somebody, whether it's a friend, a family member, a company, somebody on the internet, somebody on Twitter, whatever, and they're like, "Oh, this person knows their stuff when it comes to Notion, Zapier, Airtable, you name it."
Excel, Google Sheets,
yes.
Like let's keep these in mind, right? If you are a master at building macros or something really powerful in Excel, you may not think it didn't used to be called a builder, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's the term we use now, is you are, whether or not you're like, "Oh, I know VBasic," but you're building solutions with tools.
Yeah. And I think that's the shift, is like, you don't really need to have gone to school for a couple of years for computer science to be able to help someone in Google Sheets or in Salesforce or in whatever. These no code and low code ecosystems are just so much broader than a line of code or a formula. So it's I want to talk to those types of people and understand how they learned enough to be the resource for people in their network, because I think those disciplines are going to emerge quite extensively over the next couple of months. So Trevor put it up there, humans at Xray.tech. That's right there.
That's how you know you get a human. If you email robots I don't think you're going to see a human.
No, you're going to go to the robots. You don't want to do that. Exactly. You want to email fellow human, please email humans@Xray.tech. And that
If
will
you're a
go.
robot listening, go ahead and email robots back.
yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah. If you're a robot listening, yeah, that would be the right place to go.
so there's. I think that's super interesting that you and I were talking about this, and I think it is like what do you think in the next, I don't know, months, right? I'm a baby builder, right? That I'm building these simple programmatic SEO tools using Google Sheets basically,
Mhm, mhm.
and I can show anybody how in 10 minutes, like you
Yeah,
can master
yeah,
this skill too. That's like littlest stage of building. I met a dude talking about him who's got this incredible complex machine that uses AI and LLMs that he's self-hosted and trained and weighted. Like it's a whole other level.
yeah.
But okay, there's a continuum. But like, what do you think we're going to start seeing builders pushing and launching and changing and doing, as you're saying this is all changing in the next few months? Like what are you looking forward to see change?
So I think the technology and the people who are building are way ahead of the market. So
Okay.
so I think GPT 1 or 2 or whatever they actually launched with in October of last year. Like I think that's sort of cutting edge for big organizations to like grapple with right now. Um, the low coders, the no coders, the builders that are coming out with their own productized solutions that you can then adopt. Like it would be one. It's one thing, right, Trevor, for you to build a programmatic SEO thing for yourself in Google Sheets and OpenAI plugins. It's another thing to level that up one more and allow anyone to sign in to an experience, right, to an application that they can upload their URL, they upload some keywords, and they can generate all of these programmatic SEO pages for their website, right? Like,
And then ideally one-click publish to Webflow or WordPress, right? I get it.
sure,
It's
I
a whole
mean that
different
would be
thing.
wonderful, right? But you need somebody who is a little bit more intimately familiar with like a Softer, a WeWeb, a Builder.com. Like there's a lot of different websites that you can actually like end up deploying a service, just as we described. But the where's the gap, right? And I think the gap is you have a lot of people that are underutilizing the software that they already own, they already buy, right? Like of the laundry list of features in whatever is on your Amex bill for most expensive tools you pay for every month, right? What percentage of features are you actually using in there? And
Yeah.
and if you're using close to the max features of whatever tool it is, how much of that is manually entered, right?
Right. Right.
So you're almost shooting yourself in the foot if you're actually using 100% of the tool, because now you're manually doing that instead of having the robots pull and push information from one piece of software to the other to utilize more of the software, but minimize the work that it is on you. So you have this pool of companies and people that are trying to utilize their software and build efficient systems and be able to understand what their process is. And then you have a bunch of people that have tinkered and built things and tried, right, and like actually learned things either the hard way or through YouTube, and are like more than qualified to teach the next class in how to set up a Notion database or how to fix my Zap. Like it's a pretty big differential if you're spending a little bit of time in these platforms every day, compared to the person who it's really not their job to be inside of a Zap, or inside of any of these tools for anything more than to do their job, right? Whether you're in PR, marketing, or whatever. That's really the only focus.
So yeah. So like I guess a good example, right? Again, I'm a baby builder. I am not a master at these things by any means. Tom is the smart one here. But um Phantom Buster plus Taplio. I've been using Taplio. I'll talk about that in a moment. Um I am using right now. So I was at an event last week, the Super Founder Thunder event. Jeremy, if you're listening, cool event. Thanks for inviting me. And had like 340 attendees. And I grabbed all the attendees with Phantom Buster, downloaded them. Then I put them all into back into Phantom Buster, and I'm sending connection invites out, like 7 a day, right? Very very low tempo here. and only to folks who fit my persona, which is people who are CEOs or founders of early stage startups. So of the 300 something people, like half probably don't even apply. Sending out 7 invites a day, it'll be 20 days before this is all wrapped up, right? But I think I've already booked 4 meetings with people just by saying, this is what I know. And oh, by the way, there's a guarantee. Speaking of guarantees making a difference. And people go, hell yeah, let's talk, right? Oh, Phantom Buster, and then over to Taplio. I'm using Taplio to make sure that I am, after they accept the connection request, Taplio will use ChatGPT to generate a cold, like a connection, what they call it, like an icebreaker, to generate an icebreaker to start a conversation, right? So they talk to me, I generate an icebreaker, which basically Taplio looks at what they've posted and then says, I saw that post. Here's a thought. And then if they respond, now we have a conversation going. And I haven't yet actually ever looked at this human. By the way, if you got a connection request from me recently and I started a conversation with you, of course that wasn't automated. I value you. But if you're listening. But this mechanism, right, is just integrating they're both very powerful tools, but 2 tools very simply together to achieve this result, right?
So I just added here for our viewers, if you could switch back to the bit.ly link, I did just add Phantom Buster and Taplio to the material for the day. So on this bit.ly link that Trevor's adding here is another Xray workflow board. And you can see the topics that we covered today, the Phantom Buster link and Taplio, which is a little hard to see. I don't know.
What's this URL doing? It didn't look that way earlier today.
It is NoCode_building if you're just listening to this.
And there's no, like, really, really, thank you, OneStream. I appreciate you screwing. Hey, there you go. And I fixed it by adding a space to the end, of course. Anyway, there you go. NoCode_building. That will continue to be on our live streams on Building with #NoCode, where we post whatever our topics were and other tools we have in there. So
yeah, one of our other streams actually set some public board records for us. We actually had a couple hundred people come by and check that link out. So
nice.
I hope it's helpful. It has a whole bunch of stuff about Xray on there, a whole bunch of stuff from CrowdTamers, and then whatever we covered today. So hopefully that can provide some value. At the very least, you'll check out some interesting tools, Phantom Buster and Taplio, if you're interested in some LinkedIn automation. Personally, I don't use either of those things, but I'm also not as great at LinkedIn as Trevor is, which is
well, I mean, your YouTube, you're mentioning it's popping off. You've got like hundreds of new subscribers a month and all this, and I'm hitting the same numbers, but over on LinkedIn, my YouTube is not like this. Post to YouTube. If you see this on YouTube, congratulations. You and my mom are both the viewers of this video. But, over on LinkedIn is where I have a decent sized audience and people that are actually watching me.
Well, Trevor, if they want to watch more, where can they find you?
I am on LinkedIn, obviously, at linkedin.com/in/Trevor Longino. I'm on Twitter at Trevor Longino. I'm on YouTube at youtube.com/@launch today, because that's the URL I chose. And of course, you can always go to crowdtamers.com, click on the big green button that says let's chat, and we'll chat. How about you, Tom? People want to find out more about you. Where do they go? I
got to say, go to YouTube. You go to YouTube and search for Xray Automation. You will see a bunch of our content on there. We've been producing, workflow design and automation videos every week for the last 26 months or something crazy like that. We've been going really consistent on that. So check that out, or my LinkedIn at Tom Nasser on LinkedIn. And I'm the only one out there, NASSR. That's me.
I think it's the lack of vowels that mean your name is so unusual. Just the one A, and then the rest of it all just.
Ellis Island got it right.
I feel like Ellis Island, the guy was not on his, he's like a Polish dude who doesn't like the vowels, right?
Probably not, yeah.
So,
it's all right.
There you go.
But however you contact us, humans at Xray.tech is also a good place.
Because Tom is a human. He will get it. So,
I will get it.
Excellent. Thanks to everybody once again. I hope you guys found it useful, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.